Good morning, everyone. If you're joining us from the West Coast, good afternoon. If you're joining us from the East Coast, we'll be getting started here in just a couple minutes. Allow a couple more minutes here just for the other attendees to join us, and we'll be setting it off. Thank you so much for your time. We'll be right with you. Wonderful. If you're just joining us, today's webinar, we will be discussing how to do SEO for MSOs. If you're not familiar with the term MSO, that stands for multi-state operators, so dispensaries that have multi-state reach. So we'll be covering this topic in just a moment here, allowing a few more moments for some of the attendees to join us. Thank you so much for your time. Wonderful. So we'll get started. Thank you so much once again for taking the time out of your day to join us here at Foot Traffic. Today's webinar will be focused on how to do SEO for MSOs. And if you're just joining us, MSOs, multi-state operators, so those dispensaries that either have or are planning multi-state dispensary stores, right? There's a key way to really create a strategy that can take you across borders and really execute it effectively. And so today we're going to be discussing how to create that strategy and how does that work for all of your stores across multiple states. So the agenda for today, the top SEO strategies to implement, helpful tools for a successful strategy across multi-state, and how to evaluate performance, which is beyond important if you are planning a strategy for your marketing initiative. And so really happy to have everybody on board here today. Thank you so much once again for taking the time out of your day to join us. We're going to be moving through a lot of content today. My name is Eduardo Silva. I will be your host for this webinar today. And I've been with Foot Traffic here since January. Really excited to be part of the team and be helping the industry move in a growth direction. I have with me around 18 years in sales and marketing experience, so really excited to be part of the team, but also part of the industry as a whole. A little bit about Foot Traffic. So we've been around for over 4.5 years now, going on 5 years. We focus on dispensary digital marketing across the North American plain. So that is the United States and Canada. And we've been doing very successfully digital marketing strategies for all of our clients across all of these different states, taking a lot of the compliance into consideration, but really our key focus is attracting new customers. And so really happy to be talking about SEO. SEO is one of the top drivers for every single one of our customers. Some of our customers experience north of 50% of their e-commerce revenue through SEO. So very, very excited to be talking to you about this concept today. Before we get started, let's talk a little bit about these housekeeping items here. We are going to be flowing pretty fast as we normally do. We only have 30 minutes for our content today, so do take your cell phones. We love those cell phones, right? They're very important for the marketer, but let's mute them. Let's put them face down just to make sure that we do not get too distracted as we're going through this content. And then also familiarize yourself with the Zoom interface. There was a recent update, so even if you were a Zoom Pro, there is some new features in the interface itself. Do find that Q&A button. It should be on the top of your screen. The Q&A is where you can go to ask any questions while we're flowing through this content. We do have moderators here with us today who are going to be answering questions as we move through the content. Okay, so once again, the Q&A button is where you want to be inputting any of those questions while we're flowing through the content. We do have a Q&A section as well towards the end, but if you do have some questions throughout, that way you don't forget what the question is, we can address them towards the end. And make sure you stick around. We do have a special offer for those attending today, and we'll be sharing that towards the end of the webinar as well. Okay. Once again, thank you so much for your time. Really, really excited to have you here. So before we get started, let's dive into the vital strategy that you need to be using, which is SEO. And before we jump into that, let's talk a little bit about what SEO is, just a quick recap. So SEO stands for Search Engine Optimization, which is the practice of increasing the quantity and quality of traffic to your website through organic search engine results. Organic search engine traffic is unpaid traffic that comes from Google, Yahoo, Bing, okay? Mainly Google, right? Because Google makes up 93% of North American search, okay, internet search. So when customers want to find a dispensary near them, they turn to search, and Google in particular, as we mentioned. And if you want to show up in those search results, then it's crucial that you have a robust SEO strategy and a team to implement it for you. Otherwise, searchers will go right to your competition, okay? Search engine optimization shows that your page is relevant for particular keywords. So for example, in our business, that may mean San Diego Dispensary, the term dispensary, right? Detroit Provisioning Center, or Santa Rosa marijuana delivery. So optimizing your site around these keywords will make it more likely that people who are looking for your services can actually find you. And that's very, very important. When you have a good SEO strategy, two things will happen. One, you will show up higher in the search results, and two, you will get more organic traffic. When you rank better on Google, it helps create brand trust and authority. It shows searchers that your site is relevant and that it may be useful information for them. So they automatically equate high rankings with quality. Plus, because searchers rarely look past the first page of results, your higher ranking will lead to more organic traffic, okay? So in fact, the top 3 results of a search tend to get 75% of all of the organic traffic. The lower you are in the search results, the less traffic you will get. This is simple math, okay? So organic traffic is one of the most dependable sources of traffic and revenue for many businesses. According to a research conducted by HubSpot, organic search is responsible for 94% of all web traffic. And it's not just any web traffic. Thanks to your optimization, it will be relevant, high quality traffic. What does this mean? This means that these people who are finding you are already looking for you. They're already interested in what you're selling. So with SEO, you are ensuring that your website is always working for you and your website is always active. As Neil Patel, the popular SEO expert, says, your website is your 24-hour salesman, right? Talk about automation potential here. So let's dive into one case study here. This is the revenue attribution data for one of our clients over 6 months from December to May. Okay, this client has 10% conversion rate on visitors that purchase on their website with an average order of $100. The client invested $12,000 on their SEO strategy with us across 16 different locations. So let's talk about these findings here, right? First and foremost, $12,000 per month across 16 locations, yielding a revenue of $6.35 million in 6 months. Okay, so this is an investment of $72,000 with an ROI of $88 for every dollar spent. This is remarkable, right? But this is the power of SEO, and this is the power of a well-crafted SEO strategy. That is quality content and several other strategic positioning of content and backlinking of your site to drive that authority, right, online. So really, really great results for this one client, but we have some more to share with you as well. When it comes to SEO, the first thing you need to focus on is your website. Your website should load very, very quickly. You can check how quickly your website is loading on Google's Page Speed Insights, okay? This is part of creating a good user experience, which Google now prioritizes. So if you're not creating a good user experience, guess what? Google dings you, right? So your website should also look great on mobile. Google is also prioritizing mobile more and more as searchers are increasingly using their smartphones to search, browse, and even shop. So you also need to consider the URL structure and your site architecture. This means that any pages, in addition to your home page, need to be organized in a way that makes sense to Google and your web visitors. So for example, your location pages should use your dispensary page as a parent page, okay? The URLs you use also matter as well. So they should clearly identify what's on the page. Let's say we're doing a location pages for your dispensaries in Massachusetts. We would use the city name as the URL. So for example, yourdispensary.com dispensaries/Boston. So once again, we're actually typed this into the chat window here so you guys can see. So yourdispensary.com/dispensaries/Boston. This is a sample of how your URL structure should be built, okay? When creating pages, you will also want to use appropriate keywords in your metadata, like your title tags and your alt text, okay? Another crucial tool, especially right now, is your online menu. To be able to measure the success of your SEO strategy, you need to use a menu like Ola, WooCommerce, or Dutchie that allows you to track the revenue attribution. Okay, all of these efforts in the digital marketing realm are only as good as your ability to measure your results. I think every single person on this attending this webinar can agree, right? It is very important to be able to have quantifiable data that backs up each and every single one of your campaigns and strategies. So let's talk a little bit more about location pages. As I mentioned, dispensary location pages, and we're going to go into that a little deeper now because these are crucial for reaching local audiences in search of your markets, okay? To properly optimize your dispensary location pages, you need to have a keyword for each of your pages and use the keyword within your title tag, your alt image text, and the content of your page. When we create a location page for our clients, we also include directions to the dispensary from nearby locations, a list of amenities, and local attractions, and an embedded Google Maps. In addition, we include schema, which is a vocabulary of tags that can be added to your HTML code. Schema provides Google with more informative and more information about your website so you can index it properly and fast and efficiently. Because we're spelling out everything for Google and showing how relevant your website is for local queries, Google will automatically start seeing your website as a much more efficient tool for Google's searchers, right? And that's very important. Your website content is vital for getting people to your site and keeping them there. Creating quality content can help boost your Google ranking and help you convert more visitors into customers. So when creating content, make sure you include blog posts and showcase local events on places. This helps increase your local SEO for these locations. So for example, you want to highlight the best food trucks in your city or the most beautiful places to hike while high, which is a great one for clients, right? Educational content can also help you showcase your authority and cement your brand. This is specifically useful for medical dispensaries. No need to make medical claims. Just provide information about cannabinoids, terpenes, cultivars, and current research on, or even news around cannabis. Content about your product selection or vendors can help you showcase the search results when potential customers try to search for them. So this is also a great way, right, to link right back to your menu so they can actually find you. Your content should use relevant keywords and be written for the audience, not for the search engine. Old strategies like keyword stuffing will actually hurt your search rankings because Google wants to provide users the best experience possible. Google won't send users to a site that looks spammy. So you want to make sure your content is working for you. Use strong calls to action and make sure to have email and text opt-ins on your page and blog posts, right? Self-explanatory to a certain degree. SEO isn't just about your website. There are off-site factors that can impact the rankings as well. We're going to jump into these now. The first one is your Google My Business profile, okay? The state of local SEO reported that was released by the Moz web presence shows that your Google My Business and your GMB profile is the most important local ranking factor to actually drive up your SEO authority. It's free to create a profile, and if you haven't already, you should actually claim each of your locations. Very important. When creating a GMB profile, make sure that you use actual name of your dispensary, okay? And then follow it by the word dispensary. For example, Rise would be Rise Dispensary. Do not add in the name of your city or try to stuff your name within keywords. That's just not going to really amount to a really great result. You should create a description of your location that includes relevant keywords, the types of products you carry, and anything that helps set your dispensary apart. Make sure that your name, address, and phone number are also correct and that they are the same as they appear on your website or any other directory. Okay, that is actually one of the services that we provide as part of our SEO strategy for our clients, is syndicating your business information accurately across all relevant websites. We're talking about 50 plus, sometimes anywhere from 70 to 100 locations where your business should be syndicated to properly in order for Google to really create that authority around your brand. The second most important offsite local ranking factor, according to recent Moz report, is reviews. Google wants to send people to websites that best match their search. Part of this is ensuring that they have a positive experience there, right? As in Google's searchers, right? To do this, they rely on what others have been saying about your business. To rank well, you will want to get at least one new review a day and a score of 4.7 star average. Fewer stars will result in fewer searches. Customers take reviews into account when making a purchase, so this isn't just about SEO. It helps you on two fronts, right? Building that loyalty with customers, but also building your SEO. Because we're talking about SEO, Google reviews are the most valuable. While other reviews are helpful when customers are shopping around, when it comes to SEO, Google is king. To get reviews, you will want to make sure your bud tenders are asking your customers for them after a positive experience. So you can also create flyers with a QR code to place in bags or re-engage customers with SMS to ask for a Google review. In terms of reputation management, you should check your reviews regularly and respond to both positive as well as negative reviews. And then for negative reviews, try to take the customer offline by offering your phone number. If you're able to address the reviewer's concerns, they may be willing to update their review and leave a positive feedback instead. Our last off-site ranking factor is link building. Creating a link building strategy will help you showcase the relevance and authority of your website. Link signals account for around 28% of organic rank factors and 17% of Google's local pack ranking factors. And so you do not want to ignore this, right? And just so I reiterate, right, the Google's local pack is the businesses that show up when a customer is searching, right, in that little business window, right? Keep that in mind. That's where 75% of the business or the traffic, if you will, is actually getting flowed to once a user is using Google and searching for a dispensary. When people link to your site, they're essentially endorsing you. Those links help you build site authority. They tell Google that people like you and your content and how relevant you are. The best way to get backlinks is to create good content that people want to share via social or on their own blog post. By showcasing your knowledge of the industry and of cannabis in general, you can create content that people want to link to. You can also do guest posts on relevant sites to help build your link as well. Another way to get links to your site is by ensuring you're listed in directories like Yelp, Weedmaps, and Leafly, and by speaking or presenting at cannabis events and conferences. The quality of the link matters, of course. While you want many links, they should be from a relevant site or individuals, as their domain authority help increase the value of the link. Plus, the text that they use to link to you, known as the anchor text, should also be very much relevant to the content that's being linked to. To create your SEO strategy and to measure its success, you need to make sure that you have the right tools. There are plenty of options out there. Ahrefs or SEMrush can help you do keyword search and SEO audits. You can also track your website to see how your ranking changes over time. This is something we do for every single one of our clients. To track and monitor the effectiveness of your SEO strategy, you need to ensure you have Google Analytics set up properly. Too many dispensaries think they have Google Analytics set up correctly, but we've often found ourselves fixing this for our clients. So make sure that you've set it up properly and you are getting all of the benefits that you can from Google Analytics. And Google Search Console should also be enabled. Of course, to create the pages and content on your site and optimize them, you also need a team of people dedicated to your SEO efforts, including a web developer, a web designer, a copywriter, a blogger, and an SEO specialist at minimum. The simplest way is to hire all of these professionals without crushing your budget, is to actually work with established agency like Foot Traffic. Now that you have the tools, you need to start tracking. Saving your site in Ahrefs will allow you to monitor how you're ranking for particular keywords and what your domain authority is, and the number of backlinks you actually have. Being able to monitor these changes means that you can test out different strategies and see which ones of them are actually working best for your business. Once you have the Google Analytics set up, you should use it to track your organic traffic month over month and your e-commerce revenue. Using your Google Search Console, you can find new keywords to rank for as well. You can use your GMB profile to get more information as well. Using insights, you can actually see what people are doing when they view your profile. Are they actually asking for directions? Are they calling you? This is information that you will actually need to make SEO strategies more effective and reach your goals. Let's talk about another case study here. So here's another one from an MSO client of ours out of the East Coast. So for the last 6 months, they generated $1.1 million in revenue from SEO strategy here with an investment of $30,000 across 5 locations, okay? So $30,000, a return on investment here of $37 to every dollar spent. This particular customer's e-commerce revenue is broken out where SEO is actually making up over 50%, right? So $1.1 million in revenue, steady business. Once again, the website's really working for them. And it's a great way to really understand the power of SEO. We invested heavily in the link building and the on-page optimization for this client. This was one of the main strategies. Plus, we also implemented the strategy to increase Google reviews. This had a tremendous impact, as you can see here. And we wrote around 10 new articles per month for their blog, right? So content was king in this case. So everyone wants to get to the top of Google. It's a valuable piece of real estate. Those top 3 results, as I mentioned before, get 75% of the clicks. We created a robust strategy for dispensaries, and you can start moving your website up the rankings and get more customers to your site fairly fast here, fairly quickly. At Foot Traffic, SEO is running in our blood. It's the first service we offered when we first launched Foot Traffic, and it's one that continuously drives sales for our clients. In fact, our SEO provides our customers with the greatest return on investment in comparison to all of the other digital marketing strategies. So let's talk about that SEO deal that we mentioned. So first and foremost, for those of you attending today, we're offering a free onboarding. So onboarding is usually a complete business online audit, but also a competitor audit that we do, as well as a strategy builder. So we're including that at no cost, which is normally a $1,000 fee. And then a $9.99 per location per month package that will include every single one of the SEO strategies that have been proven successful to all of our other customers. So with that being said, please do reach out to us if you are interested in getting started and or learning more about how we can potentially help you. Let's turn to questions here to address any questions that have come through. Wonderful. How long does it take to see results? Great question. So when it comes to SEO, SEO is certainly a strategy that is not a short-term one. And the reason is, right, it takes a lot of energy on the front end. So normally we see some results as in directly measurable to revenue generation within the first 3 months. But after the 3 months is when you start seeing the picking up speed, right? Between that 6-month and 9-month mark is when you can really start seeing the value, right? A lot of revenue starting to be generated and a lot more organic coming across. And if you have questions, once again, just type them in here to the Q&A window on the top of the Zoom panel, okay? How do you track results? So I did touch on this a little bit during the beginning phase. I think it was like middle of the webinar here today. So tracking results is beyond important, right? To measure how the different strategies when it comes to SEO are working, right? One, first and foremost, you got to set a clear goal, right? Do we want to generate revenue? Is that how we're going to track the effectiveness, right? Do we want to just track the amount of organic traffic, how many users we're driving to our website? Do we want to track conversion? So with that being said, unparalleled that you select the correct e-commerce platform to go into your website, because outside of our industry, this is common practice. In our industry, which is still maturing, there's still some room for some technologies to really kind of make that change, right, and allow for tracking. Foot Traffic can track just about anything, but some technologies do pose a little bit of a limitation. So feel free to reach out to us. We can certainly point you in the right direction. However, having proper e-commerce, right, that your customers can come to with high conversion, but also tracking capability is unparalleled. What is the first step? Great question here. First step is really, we made it as easy as possible. Just get in touch with us. I think ultimately we have to get an understanding of where you are today with your online presence. So what is your website looking like? How is Google viewing you, right? We need to do that audit. We need to have that onboarding conversation to really understand how much energy do you need to invest in the front end to course correct a lot of those changes, right, that is necessary for Google to really start looking at you as a trusted advisor. Okay? And then one more question here. So the question is pertaining to the $9.99 per month. Is that applicable for a single location? And yes, it is applicable for a single location. So if you're not an MSO, but you still would like to take advantage of SEO, highly encouraged as well, right? Absolutely, get in touch with us. We can certainly help you there. On that note, I certainly appreciate everybody's time and also the great questions. Here is a link to get in touch with us, foottraffic.me/call. We'll also put that in the chat window here so you have a hyperlink. But get in touch with us. Let's go ahead and get started. Let's get this conversation going. If anything, you could just amount as a good planning exercise for you so you can budget plan and or at least point your business in the right direction as you plan on growth, right? Have a wonderful day, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us, and I look forward to speaking with you at a later time.